Diamond David Lee, Tampa Bay's 98 Rock. And the All Request Morning Show, 22 minutes past 7. And Dave is coming to town. We're still trying to firm up a date. It's definitely happening in March. Seabass and Marla present Diamond David Lee. It's another Seabass and Marla party, gang. Woo! And Dave is providing the entertainment. Now, you can't beat that. Then we had our first day of Summer Bash. That was super cool. Then we did Seabass and Marla's Christmas party. That went over real good with the Eric Gales band.
We even got a plaque for that one. I mean, how the heck we worked that out for a community event, I don't know, but that was killer.
Yeah, and we're doing it again. The first day of Spring Party. Spring has sprung with Marla and me and Diamond David Lee. That's how I like it.
I like that. That's good. Any excuse to have a party, we're having one. So there you have it. You know, we'll do the seasonal thing. That way there's at least 4 parties a year.
And we're going to be talking with him a little bit later on this morning. He said he's going to call us between 9, 9:30, something like that. Diamond Dave, we'll get him on the phone. And there goes the damn hotline again. Who is this now? Bob Gnarly's telling us it's Dan again. Dan?
Dan, that's our general manager. We're in trouble. What do we do now?
Is he saying Dan or Dave is on the phone? Wait, hello?
Who's this?
Who's this?
This is Dave Roth, and I'm looking for Seabass.
Oh,
Diamond
my God.
Dave!
We thought it was our boss. Thank God it's you.
Okay, is that you, Seabass?
Yeah.
How you been, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great.
How about if I call you back at 8 o'clock on the dot? Does that work?
That would be perfect, Dave.
We're just kind of running around here, and I'm doing all my European stuff now for the last couple of hours. And then I think they told you I was going to call like at 9 or 9:30 or something. How about if I call back at 8 o'clock exact?
That'd be perfect.
Awesome. How you been?
Man, I've been good. How about you?
Yeah, well, spiritually amazing, and it looks like the numbers as of yesterday say my my musical aptitude is still in a straight line.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll talk all about that. I'll call you back at 8 o'clock.
All right, looking forward to it, Dave.
See you then. Is that Marla on the phone?
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I'll call you all back in an hour.
Okay, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, bye. You never know who's going to call the All Request Morning Show.
I'm just glad it wasn't Dan. I thought maybe we popped a little cursor in there somewhere.
I got to yell at Bob Gnarly. He's telling me Dan. It's Dave, not Dan.
Well, he's looking all around like he's totally confused. What are you eating in there? Give me some of that.
So we'll be chatting with Dave a little bit later on this morning. And don't forget, coming up at 8 o'clock, your chance to win some Pink Floyd tickets. Just stop by 34th and Almerton in Clearwater and whack Tanya back. What are we talking about? Believe me, it's self-explanatory. Just go out there and check it out yourself. Right now, let's check out some traffic with the Wolfman.
And we've got a good accident either side of the bay. Southbound 19 north of 580.
Petersburg, pure rock and roll.
Oh, yes, nothing but pure rock and roll. Tampa Bay's 98 Rock. Seabass and Marley here hanging with you. And on the phone, I have the one and only Diamond David Lee. Dave.
Hi, Seabass, Marla, and especially Tampa. How are you all this morning?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing absolutely great. How are you, Dave?
Oh, amazing. You know, we got the brand new record out, and I just finished. I think I broke my personal record, y'all. I was just in 7 different countries in Europe, and I did 117 interviews in 2 weeks.
Excellent.
And changed the answers, huh? Now, you know, when I disappear, I completely disappear. That's not the usual trend in pop music, though. You know, it's a lot of people can't live unless the spotlight is on them continually, and I got to disappear and have something, you know, something to sing about. I cut my hair, moved to New York City 2 years ago, and now I got something to sing about and something to complain about. Maybe complaining's more important to rock. What do y'all think?
I think that might be. I did a list of things that pissed me off today, so I'm with you on that.
You know, all we got to do is put 120 beats a minute to it, and I think we can make it work, Marlon.
Hit record, I'm telling you.
So a lot of pop music is complaining. A lot of rock music is complaining. But, you know, I've become bitter and cynical, but it doesn't mean I'm not having a great time.
There you have it.
So,
Well,
Dave.
you know, we got the single come out, She's My Machine.
Oh, yeah.
And the video is coming on within the next week or two, I think. And we're starting a tour. We're going to be playing in your backyard real soon, actually.
Oh, absolutely. We're having a big old party that night. That's for sure.
What we're doing is we're playing small gigs, really small, particularly in places where I can play giant. I just had a major blow-up in London where we can play 20,000 people. And I insisted I'd rather play 4 or 5 gigs in the whatever it is, 2002, 3. And the idea behind this is really simple. It's eyebrows. You know why dogs are more popular than cats?
Why?
Well, they have eyebrows. You can tell what they're thinking. You can see what they wish they could say to you. And if you play in a small place, you can see somebody's face, you know? So right there, you got 30% more bang for your buck. Second big mystical reason why play a smaller place. It sounds better. In this day and age, I'm pretty tired of seeing mediocre bands pump out mediocre music and hide behind, some kind of stage show. So let me put my money where my mouth is. Let's really go and see just how musical this is. I've always maintained that if you can do it, then you do it with simple light and an empty stage and a chord and the guitar and go. What do you think?
Well, you've been in New York City the last couple of years. Has that had any influence on your music? It must have.
Absolutely. Los Angeles, which is where I did my junior high and high school situation, is come to represent something kind of morbid in the music business today. Los Angeles is the place where we pump out the idea that if it's really popular, it must be great. That if it's really, really successful, we should do 6 sequels to it, and it's got to be in the Bend and End. And if you believe that, then you're telling me that the Jane Fonda workout tape is the best cassette ever made because it's outsold all of Guns N' Roses, Dave, and Metallica put together. Okay? Then you're telling me that McDonald's is better for me than sushi just because it's more popular. I don't know. My way of thinking is if something is digested 100% by everybody equally well, then the only thing I can think of that's easily digested like that is baby food. And I don't really want to make baby food for a living. Let me tell you 2 jokes. A Los Angeles joke. How many rock stars does it take to put in a light bulb?
How many?
1. They hold the bulb and wait for the world to revolve around them. Here's the New York version. How many rock stars does it take to put in a light bulb? Gee, you look a little tired, kid. New York will tell you that. New York is cynical and it's sarcastic and it's competitive and dubious, and I'm just inspired by that. That gets the best out of any kind of music, whether it's thrash punk shred or heavy metal crunch disco, whatever you want to call it. This is the last little tribe in the United States where you've judged perhaps a bit more on the shoe than the box it comes in.
Well, I love your new tune, She's My Machine, and let's crank it up right now. Dave, what do you say?
I think absolutely. All people say that all great journeys begin with but a single step. I think in 1994 it starts with opening the car door.
98 Rock. Tampa Bay's 98 Rock, and the new one from Diamond Dave, my main man. 8 minutes past 8 with Seabass Marla and Diamond Dave on the phone. Dave.
How you doing?
You're going to Puerto Rico, I understand.
Well, I always wanted to use music as a little bit of a ticket to get around the world, If I could kind of combine my business with a little experience, then you got a full balance there. Then you have something interesting, And it's something that I've always tried to add into it. You got to have something to sing about. And I don't sing about buildings. I don't sing about places. I sing about people and all the little dances that we do for each other, all the little chases and stuff.
Well, there's good surf in Puerto Rico. You might want to break out the board on your way there.
Oh, man, it's been quite a while since I've seen a beach. I've been staying here in the city for the last 2 years, maybe 1.5 years. And people ask me, Dave, what's the last big adventure, what you did, and so forth. I've been to the mountain, and I've been to the South Pacific. And for me, Seabass, mostly those are pages out of a National Geographic in the waiting area of a dentist office. It's that simple. As a little guy, I would say, I want to go to page 26. And,
sure.
I want to ride a camel, just like on page 32, And for me, at this point, the single biggest adventure is staying in the same place for 2 summers in a row. I stayed here in the city for 2 summers in a row complete. It's probably been about 20 years since the last time I did that. That's a much more frightening kind of adventure for me, getting to know the general lay of the land. And I live on the Lower East Side here in the demilitarized zone of the village. We've got, as I look out the window here through the pouring snow, I see the methadone clinic on one side, and there's the hospital for the old folks on the other side, and then there's the high school and the church over there, and then the police station's over here. So no matter who you are, you're going to use one or more of the facilities.
Yeah.
Quiet around where I live, because if anybody makes any problems, I guess they'll move the methadone clinic way back down into the Bowery, and who needs to walk that far? Huh?
I spent a lot of time in the village growing up as a kid, and I actually ran into your Uncle Manny a few times.
Manny is still here. I have a fairly interesting family. I come from an interesting family background. Manny is, I guess he's about 74, and he runs the West End Beer Bar Club, so forth, uptown. But I was coming here in the city when I was about 5 years old, 6, 7. I'd spend every summer here. My pop was in medical school. They dropped me off with Manny, who was the Duke of McDougal, and he had a club called the Cafe Watt.
Yeah.
WHA with a question mark.
Sure.
And that's where I remember seeing Jimmy James there before he became
Jimi Hendrix, right.
Bob Dylan got fired for being late, and Peter and Paul were a duo. Mary was, a waitress at the Wah, and on and on. This is the very beginnings of everything that we are experiencing today, perhaps with the alternative vibe, more than ever before. The idea of Unplugged, it hails right back to the folk movement, I love Unplugged on TV. Do you like that show?
Yeah, sure.
I giggle because, it's the difference between what I call a gee whiz and a hey Marge. And it goes like this, if you see Aerosmith or Eric Clapton get on Unplugged, you know they're going to do pretty good because their music is blues-oriented. It's going to translate to acoustic pretty readily. But I think the reason most of us watch it is so we can watch bands like Poison just strangle themselves up. And instead of going, gee whiz, you go, hey, Marge, get over here. This is my favorite game show. What about you?
Well, I saw you on Letterman a few years back, and I think you did Tell the Truth. Is that right?
That was the first time that I had ever sang live on television. That was...
Really?
Yeah. Most rock, as the way I've played it, and I've played a million variations of it, but usually it's fairly well guitar-oriented. And to play that on television is a bit difficult. You got to really have your chops down, and more importantly, the sound is out of your control. You don't just set up a microphone in front of a speaker and get the sound just the way the speaker sounds. There's got to be 700 kinds of microphones. You got to pick out the right one, and 700 consoles, et cetera, et cetera. At this point now, we got it pretty well wired. I wrote most of this album with my old buddy Terry Kilgore. We were in Mr. Newman's music appreciation class together when we were 13 years old.
Wow.
And we grew up listening to the same radio stations and knowing the same girlfriends and crashing the same cars, I guess. And the sound is live. The sound is for real, We are graduates of the College of Musical Knowledge, in that today's generations, through no fault of their own, don't have that school anymore. You got plenty of clubs and bars where you can play original material, but there are almost no clubs and bars where you play cover tunes, top 40, and other people's songs. And I don't mean in your own personal style. Sure. I mean, you learn it note for note, and you fill up your reservoir with hundreds of other people's songs. This is how we did it in the Great Van Halen. And I didn't invent the process. We learned it from reading about the Beatles playing 5 45-minute sets a night. And we learned everything from James Brown to Led Zeppelin. Everything from Sly and the Family Stone to Aerosmith and ZZ. You name it. And you fill up your bucket with hundreds of other influences, and you get a signature sound. When you begin to write your own music, then you're dealing from the entire alphabet, And if you only learn a few letters of the alphabet, hey, you're going to start repeating yourself real soon, And you can write whatever you want. You learn a million other people's songs. You got to think of it as the alphabet. Pornography is written with the same alphabet that the Bible is. It's purely your choice. But I see a lot of difficulty in that. I can kind of hear it when you're just kind of keying off listening to the same 4 records over and over again. My favorite stuff is the material you can't categorize. Tell me what Lenny Kravitz does for a living. Can you tell me what Katie Lang plays for a living? What kind of music that is? And Dago Cello, excuse me. Can you tell me what the Chili Peppers play for a living?
Right.
Hey, Dave, have you heard this guy Beck? Have you heard that guy Beck yet?
Which guy?
It's a guy named Beck Hansen, and he sings a song called Loser, and I don't know what the hell that is, but I think you'll probably like it if you like that other stuff that you just mentioned. It's very wild.
I'm a loser, so go ahead and shoot me?
Yeah.
That is so morose.
You hate it?
You really got to wade through that sobriety, man. There ain't nothing. Oh,
I love that, Tim.
But you know what? $50 says I catch that kid with a bottle in his hand backstage chasing after a big titty blonde.
No, that'll be me.
Well, you know what? A lot of it is shoes and haircuts. There are some people whose hearts are in the right place, okay? But, hey, I've always dug mass-produced nonconformity.
Well, Dave,
whenever it comes out, remember when it was called punk rock? Remember when it was called hippies?
Well, one of my favorite songs is Going Crazy, and I know you're fluent in Spanish. How about giving us a Spanish intro?
Oh, finalmente, desafortunadamente, no estamos aquí con la música, pero finalmente, aquí lo tiene going crazy.
Puerto Loco. Diamond Dave on 98 Rock. Oh, yeah. I love that one. Tampa Bay's 98 Rock and the All Request Morning Show, 19 minutes past 8. Seabass, Marla, and Diamond David Lee Roth on the phone here. My main man. Everyone knows that.
I'm entering the capsule now.
So, Dave, a few weeks ago, ABC Newswire sent us down a few little blurbs about you, saying you were walking down the street in New York and you ran into Eddie and Valerie, and you said hi to Eddie. You asked him how he was doing, and Valerie said, he's doing okay. What's going on there?
I don't know what's going on there. You know, I haven't seen those fellas since we actually broke up. And I've called more than a few times to say, hey, you know what? I really have no desire to rejoin your barbecue, but we are the lucky few who won the Super Bowl more than twice. We changed the face of culture, okay? And in a small way, and in ways you might not suspect. And it's kind of morbid not to reconvene the old team before, while everybody's still around, just to kind of reminisce every now and then.
Sure.
But, there's some kind of bizarre denial there. I had people change, and the old Van Halen can never be reclaimed. There's a movie coming out now called Airheads, and there's a scene in it where some guys are trying to decide if a person who's come into the studio is a cop or not. And they go, okay, after the split, who did you go with, Van Halen or Dave Roth? And the guy goes, Van Halen. He goes, cops, you're out of here.
I like that one.
I don't hold any grudges. I don't hold any bad vibe. And, hey, who knows? You do an AIDS charity one night in the future. I'll play with anybody. I don't care. But, hey, who knows,
Hey, speaking of that, I didn't want to bring up the old VH thing either, but you know that first album you guys did with that poster of you chained to that chain link fence and some kind of really sexy black leather pants and no shirt?
I like the way you just skipped right over the first album, went right to the second one, Marla. A woman remembers.
Well, see, I had that stapled up to my wall when I was little. My mom comes home one day, what is that on the wall? So I just want you to know you caused total havoc in my house, and I love that poster. I still have a picture of that poster on my wall. I love that picture.
That poster is by the famous photographer Helmut Newton. And at the time, this is a $30,000 a session man. And I said, just from books and magazines, I was aware of who he was. And I said, hey, what if we get this fella to shoot one of our shots? And all the powers that be, oh, no, that's purely fashion. That guy is art books. He's in the Museum of Art. Who wouldn't shoot a thing? No way, kid. A couple weeks later, I noticed that he's having an opening in a little gallery in Los Angeles. And I picked up the phone. I figured there's got to be only 3 or 4 hotels in Hollywood, whatever, where he would be staying. And I called the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I said, can you connect me with Mr. Helmut Newton, please? He said, sure. Whoa. And he picks up the phone. And I said, excuse me, sir, I know this is left of center, and I'm really aware of your work. I'm a big fan, and you don't know me, but I'd really love to talk to you about taking a picture. And there was a pause. And he said, wow, now this is interesting. Come on down and let's have a look at you. I've never heard this approach before. And I did. I drove myself down to the hotel and sat there, and all the Euro trash and everybody are sitting around the pool with 5-star names, Von Furstenbergs and Princess Turn and going on and on. And he sat, we talked for 20 minutes. He says, I like you, kid. He says, I'll shoot your shot. I says, great. When do we shoot? He said, how about today? I said, okay, great. We jumped in the car, and we drove off, started shooting, shot all day, and the next day, I called him up. I said, Mr. Newton, this is amazing. I don't even know if I could afford one of these pictures. How much does it cost to put something like in an album cover or put it on a T-shirt or something? He said, well, how about $45 to pay for the assistant?
Wow. Wow, excellent.
Yeah, you got to, I guess you just kind of lean into it a little bit, huh?
Well,
Sure.
that photo definitely worked for me for years. I'll just put it that way.
Is it on your wall or your ceiling, girl?
Well, it was on the sort of the side wall toward the ceiling. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We had an old house.
Correct. Get right out of town, but take me with you, Mark.
Exactly.
All right, Dave, listen, we appreciate you taking the time. I know we've held you up here for the last 25 minutes or so, and we're looking forward to seeing you in Tampa, especially at Killian's that night. We're going to have just the greatest time.
God bless. Here we go. We got the tunes. We got the show for you. We've got free promotional T-shirts that you can sleep in.
Excellent.
Exactly. New posters. No, I'm kidding. Just think up one other thing. We're just missing one thing. A really good excuse for our boss as to why we're not going to make it into work the next morning.
Well, you can do what several entire generations did and blame it on me. Hey, Dave.
We'll just stay up all night.
Oh,
Exactly.
All right, Dave, listen, I'm going to play just like Paradise here.
See you soon, Dave.
Seabass, Bala, Tampa, God bless. Thank you very, very much. And I'll be seeing you really, really soon. And that ain't metric.